Hey y'all, welcome back to the Brown Heart Wellness Podcast. I'm Samantha Edu, and as always, I am so glad to be back behind the microphone. Y'all, I have been out. It has been a few weeks since we've had our last podcast episode. Listen, I went outside for a little bit to do some things and I got sick. The colds of 2025 are not the colds of yesteryears, and I think we need to talk about it. I have been having quite a few conversations with people about like colds and what does sick look like, because that took me out and that usually does not happen. But I was really proud of myself this time because I did not push or force myself to record while sounding disgusting and coughing in the microphone. I gave myself some grace to extend the new episode out a week so that I could just get better. And I feel so much better. I'm excited. So much has been going on, y'all. January was January-ing. Oh my gosh, in the last episode, we were getting ready for the One Brave Thing a Week challenge. The new presidency was about to happen. It's been a lot, and my prayers, heart goes out to so many people, families, lives, generations impacted by the fires in LA. So many things happening. So many things just been full of change, challenges, and many, many opportunities for us to reflect, be in community, and to support one another. At the end of January, many of us were just really feeling the weight of trying to navigate this season, literally from the attack on DEIB initiative, so many things. So the good news is we are still here. We are doing the work, and today I want to talk about what it means to protect your vessel in times like this. Managing our nervous systems, being mindful about what we allow into our lives, and truly what it looks like to lean into bravery through intentional action. I'll also be reflecting today on the She Leads workshop with the Atlanta Hogs, where I had the honor of teaching about mindfulness and time management as a leader. And y'all, we are officially 1 week into the One Brave Thing a Week challenge. Oh my gosh, I have enjoyed hearing about the brave things that people have been doing, and I feel so honored to be a part of that. And I'm going to share with y'all the brave things that I've been doing. I'll be sharing some of the incredible brave steps that you've taken and shared with me, and how the root framework can guide us as we reflect on fear and clearing out what no longer serves us. So let's get into it. Y'all know we're going to start every episode with a brown heart affirmation, and that just helps me to center myself. So let me just take a quick deep breath because I kind of came in hot today. Today, I honor my vessel by releasing fear, protecting my peace, and filling it with courage and intention. I trust I can show up for myself and others with grace, even in challenging times. Y'all, the times been challenging. As we carry that affirmation into today's conversation, let's start with what it means to navigate these changes while staying rooted in our purpose. So we're going to take a moment to talk about what it means to stay rooted in our purpose. And in order to do that, we'll just take a quick moment to address the reality of what we're facing when we think about the current climate and what it means to protect DEIB and inclusive leadership. The Brown Heart Wellness Podcast is all about how we show up as leaders. I want to take a few minutes to not only call out the rollback on progress in areas of DEIB, but I also want to talk about what is the expectation of our leaders in moments like this. This new presidency has already signaled listen, I'm trying to take y'all all the way back. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to be back before you know you're going to blink and be back. And we don't have to talk about the backity back, where the back was, but we're not going back. For those of us leading inclusively, this is not just about policy change. It is about the emotional toll, defending our values while managing the fear and uncertainty that these changes bring. As inclusive leaders, we often feel the weight of holding space for others while our own sense of stability is shaken. And I have seen that since the beginning of January up until now. It's just, I won't even say beginning of January. Well, actually, let's just start there because this has been happening. But I have seen so many inclusive leaders, DEIB practitioners, really trying to ground themselves and in community and with each other within their own spaces so that we can continue to do this work. Because what gets really hard is when you don't feel grounded yourself and still trying to carry the weight of holding space for others, especially if you work within an organization. The expectation there is a verbal and actionable commitment to DEIB so that you know that you have some foundation to settle into, to ground the work that you are doing. And that is really difficult. But here is the thing. This work matters, but we cannot pour into it from an empty vessel. So if you're finding yourself not feeling supported or not really having the bandwidth to take care of yourself first before holding space to protect all the people that are being impacted in this very moment, then we are not going to be able to fight the good fight. We are not going to be able to get into good trouble if we are battered, beaten, and worn down. So what does it look like to protect our purpose? And how does it also look to protect ourselves first? And I know when we talk about moving away from individualism, and then I'm also saying protect ourselves first, I'm not saying it in a way, only think about yourself. I'm saying it to send the message of importance for you to take care of your vessel so that when the time comes, and the time might be now, but so that when the time comes for you to fight, to advocate, to hold space, to do all the things that we are called to do, that you actually have the energy to do it. That what you are pouring out into the world is fruitful. What you're pouring out into the world is positive. It feels good. It is nurturing. It builds community rather than something that you're pouring out into the world unknowingly is toxic or tearing each other down unknowingly or unintentionally. When we are not mindful of what is happening with our vessels in times of stress, then we find ourselves not being inclusive leaders. When our back is pushed against the wall, or let me put it a different way, when we start to feel oppressed, how are we showing up if we are already burned out, tired, and empty vessels? That is the question. What it means is this is a time for us to be aware of how these different attacks wear us down and how we make space to process microaggressions that happens, other harms that can truly leave our vessels feeling vulnerable. So what are you doing as an inclusive leader to acknowledge that these things are happening and to support your teams? So if you are an inclusive leader and you have not mentioned this to your teams, what are you doing? If you are an inclusive leader that has decided that silence is the way that you are going to manage this and support your teams that are being impacted every day by these changes, what are you doing? My suggestion is to not do this in silo. Get amongst your fellow leaders, your teams, and have open conversation. No, there may not be a lot that you can do, but sometimes acknowledging that attacks are happening can be very helpful to the team so that people understand that, okay, one, they aren't just ignoring that this is happening, and two, okay, there is still solid ground for me to ground my work in. Without that, what am I doing? Okay, so just some little tidbit tips for our inclusive leaders in the room. Now, a couple of weeks ago, speaking of being able to speak with inclusive leaders in the room, I had the most amazing opportunity to lead my first in-person workshop of 2025 with She Leads. I'm so looking forward to many, many more of these. I had the privilege of leading my first in-person workshop of 2025 with the She Leads Women's Empowerment Organization with the Atlanta Hawks. This session focused on mindfulness and time management as a leader, and it was such a powerful reminder of why this work matters. Now, of course, I'm going to always come up with a little acronym because it really does help me to remember things. And so whenever I present, I'm going to have an acronym, okay? But for this one, I came up with the 3 R's. And at the time, I was thinking about the relax, relate, release. Relax, relate, release. Y'all remember that. If you're old enough, you remember. Now, the 3 R's in this instance was about recognize, regulate, and reframe. So the leaders in the room were wanting to know more about how we as leaders use mindfulness as a leadership tool to assist us with managing our time and also for helping us to manage our nervous system. So the Recognize, Regulate, Reframe framework is a really great tool for managing the nervous system. And I don't think that we consider enough how much our dysregulated nervous systems impact time management and our ability to be inclusive leaders. So the first R is recognize, where you are naming what you're feeling, being able to acknowledge what is happening in your body. Are your shoulders feeling tense? Are you feeling like that creep up the back of your neck, which is tension? Are you getting headaches? Is your stomach feeling a little bubbly when you get into the room to talk with? At the time, I gave the example of Cheryl. I don't work with someone named Cheryl that I have to have these feelings about. But if you know that you are getting ready to go into a meeting with Cheryl, and every time you go into this meeting with Cheryl, you start to feel tense or something just feels off, you feel that anxiety coming up, like being able to recognize that is such a huge gift and probably an underestimated skill of being able to recognize what you're feeling and when. So that way, now that you know, whenever I go in here and meet with Cheryl, I need to be extra prepared. I need to know how to regulate my system, which brings us to the second R. So I have recognized what's happening in my body, my mind, how I'm feeling about Cheryl or going into these meetings with Cheryl. And then I know, okay, I need to regulate myself. So before my meeting with Cheryl, I'm probably going to put a 10-minute block in between the last meeting and this meeting with Cheryl so I can just take a moment, do some deep breathing, use my essential oils, probably step away from some of the content and then come back to the meeting. And then I'm probably going to plan a few minutes after that meeting with Cheryl for me to recenter myself, take some deep breaths, and so that I don't take all that stress that happened in that meeting with Cheryl into the next meeting and project that onto someone who doesn't even deserve it, I'm going to also use that 10 minutes to leave that meeting with Cheryl in that meeting with Cheryl. Okay, so we have to be able to recognize what's happening with us and then use that recognition to regulate ourselves. So self-regulation. And then reframe. So you're recognizing what's happening. You're regulating your system so that you can then implement some time management techniques that are effective and sustainable. And then, only then, you can shift your perspective. You are reframing your thoughts. Instead of saying, I can't handle my meetings with Cheryl. Now you're saying, I have the tools to navigate these meetings. I'm okay. I can do this, this, and this, and you're putting the tools into place. This is not about denying your emotions. It's about giving yourself the tools to move through them with grace and self-compassion. So we talked about the 3 R's: recognize, regulate, reframe. Okay, get your notebook and your pen, go back, rewind, make some notes. Now, my question for you all is just a quick reflection question. What thoughts or beliefs are weighing down your vessel? Okay. When there are things that you recognize, you're regulating, and you need to reframe, what are some things that you are believing that's holding you down? Like, let's say you just started canceling all your meetings with Cheryl, but actually you really need those meetings with Cheryl to get you to the next level. What thoughts or beliefs could you have put into place rather than canceling all your meetings? So this was the workshop with the She Leads Women's Empowerment Group, and it was so awesome. Like, I just really enjoyed creating the content. I really enjoy sharing the content, but I also enjoy being in the community space in person with these women, and realized it's been so long since I have consistently spent time in person spaces because I am remote and I have built a virtual community of people and found that is where I have found some comfort. And in order to be brave, I have got to create a little bit more discomfort and getting myself outside of the home. Now, once I got sick, I started reconsidering this brave thing about getting outside the home, because when I'm at home, I do not get sick like that. I'm going to just say that. Now, this took us to the first week of our One Brave Thing a Week challenge. It was so, oh my gosh, my cup has been filled to overflow. Listening to all of the stories that have been shared with me, it has been incredible. All of the excitement about the One Brave Thing, all of the conversation that's been shared with me about the One Brave Thing, even if it's just questions like, how does this even work? People have been downloading the Root Framework workbook, which I'll have in the show notes. And I created the workbook because people like to be able to follow along. And it wouldn't be Brown Heart Wellness if we didn't have some journal prompts. So the Root Framework workbook goes along with the One Brave Thing a Week challenge. And each week we have different prompts to go with the different part of the Root Framework. So the R in Root is for reflect, where we really identify barriers that have held us back, like fear, self-doubt, toxic mindsets. And I took some time to, of course, work through these myself, duh. And oh my gosh, it's always, even though this One Brave Thing a Week challenge started in 2023, where I was like, I gotta get out of this rut. I gotta find something what's gonna expand my community, my professional knowledge, friendships, what am I gonna, myself, physical self. And I just started trying different things each week that I did not think I would be able to do. And it took a lot of reflection on why didn't I think I would be able to do aerial yoga? What were the thoughts that I was having about my body, my size, about, me being a Black woman in aerial yoga? There's not a lot of them in my area. So I had to reflect. What were the things that was holding me back, and what opportunities did I want to be open to? Like, I had to be open to embracing the possibility of change and growth. So that was the O in the Root Framework. The first O in Root Framework is reflecting. What's holding me back? Why am I not doing these things? If I say I want to get from A to B, why am I not doing what it takes to get from A to B? What is the problem? Do I not believe in myself? Do I not think I deserve this? Do I feel like I have some imposter syndrome, whatever that looks like in me? Is there some scarcity mindsets? Like, what is the deal? And then once I have done that reflection, I have to be open to the new opportunities. Once something is presented to me as a new opportunity, I have to be willing to be open to it. I actually also have to be brave enough to say yes, or I have to be brave enough to say no to something that is not going to serve me. Bravery is not always about saying yes to everything. It's also about saying no to some things that have been wearing you and tearing you down. So it's about being open. So reflect, open, embrace the possibility of change and growth. And then the next O is overcoming. So you're taking intentional action to move through fear. So first, I'm reflecting. Okay, what is the thing that's holding me back? Why aren't you going? You feel like you're too big to do aerial yoga. You're going to be the only one up in there look like you. I'm reflecting on these things. And then I have the opportunity to do aerial yoga. So I was open to it because the class was being offered at my gym. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to just try it and push myself to be open to what the possibilities could be. And the possibility was going to be that I just made it through the class. And then I had to overcome. Like, I had to actually go. Okay, I was open. I knew that the class was happening. I was open to go into the class to see what happened. But I had to get in there, sign up for it, actually go, and then take intentional action to move through the fear. I was so fearful in that class. If you've never seen aerial yoga, you are in these silk sheets hanging from the ceiling, trusting that these sheets and the ceiling is going to hold you, while you use your body to do different things, to flow through the air, to be contorted into different things. It's like yoga in the air. And I really, really struggled with trusting my body, or the fear of falling on the floor, or the fear of looking stupid. Like, you gonna look real crazy when you keep falling, girl. But I had to overcome that. Which also meant I had to go in there and be willing to look crazy and look like I was a beginner. But that was also the time when I started having a lot of gratitude for opportunities to be a beginner. And that is one of the things that comes from the One Brave Thing a Week challenge, is that you are creating more opportunities for yourself to be vulnerable and for yourself to be a beginner, rather than feeling like you have to be the expert at everything. So there are so many benefits to doing this, and it's one thing a week. We got this. The T in root is for thrive. Celebrate your progress and honor your bravery. I'm always talking about celebrating big wins, small wins, all the wins in between. The T in the root framework is for thrive. Once you've done the one brave thing, celebrate yourself. Celebrate yourself. One of the things that keeps people from doing a brave thing is like this fear of failure. But failure is okay. I was in a meeting, and one of the things that was being said, and this is a learning environment, and this has just stuck with me and it'll probably stay with me, was I want to learn how to fail beautifully. And it was after this learning environment was over. And my thought was, my wish is that we are able to remove these mindsets that tell us that we only get to fail when we are in a learning environment. My wish is that we always have the option to fail beautifully, whether we are in a learning environment or not. And I think that once we remove this ideal that we only get to fail in a learning environment, and once we're out of that, we should be succeeding at everything we do. Once we can remove that, we are unstoppable, because we are then okay with redefining what failure even looks like, removing our attachment to outcomes that we had no control over in the first place. And we are beautifully navigating life in a mindset, I can do brave things and learn lessons from those things, and those lessons be a win, right? We can change what we expect the outcome to be, so that we redefine what failure even looks like. So we are essentially failing beautifully throughout life. I want a lifestyle where failing beautifully is my norm, and that's okay. That is okay. But here's the hard truth. Oppressive systems often deny us the ability to fail gracefully. Instead, we are pushed to overperform, lean into the kind of resilience that leaves us running ourselves in the ground. This connects us to what we've talked about before, where we talked about John Henryism and Sojourner Truthism. All these patterns of overwork rooted in survival. But every season of our lives do not have to be a season where we are having to overwork ourselves to survive. But reflecting on this, I have realized that this belief that failure must be avoided at all costs, I want gone. I want to clear that from my vessel. As I continue to think about what I want in my vessel and out of my vessel, I want that out of my vessel. Because how can we thrive if we don't even feel safe enough to fail? But this week, I invite you to reflect on your brave moments and share them with us in the Brown Heart Facebook community. The Facebook community is growing slowly, and that's okay. If you want to share it with me in a DM, I'm okay with that. If you got my number and you want to text it to me and let me know if I can share it, because I'm excited to share it. The things that I have been hearing this week are people are going on interviews. People are starting new clubs. People are having conversations when they would usually prefer to just be silent. People are applying for jobs that they wouldn't have applied for in the beginning. People are being brave. In 1 week, a lot of brave things have happened. And my brave thing this week is I had a goal for some brand partnerships and have not always felt comfortable pitching myself. And so I have pitched myself this week to 5 tea companies, and looking forward to hearing back from those tea companies. And I'm looking forward to hearing back from those companies. But the goal is to get so comfortable with pitching myself that it's no longer a thing that I consider a brave thing, because it's a part of my norm. And that's what happens when you do a lot of brave things. So I'm pretty proud of myself, because I have pitched 6 companies this week. So share with me what your things are. Together, we are really building a space that celebrates progress and supports each other through the challenges. We are not in a rush to do all the things, but we are going to slowly build and grow together. Now, I miss our Brown Heart Mindful moments. Let's take a Brown Heart Mindful moment together. And if you're feeling comfortable, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think about one thing that is weighing on you right now. Maybe it is fear, maybe it's frustration or doubt. Inhale deeply. And imagine yourself just releasing that weight, releasing the weight of unfounded fear or frustration or doubt. Now I want you to think about one brave step you can take this week to protect your vessel and honor your purpose. It could be setting a boundary, saying no to something, or simply resting. Exhale, holding on to this truth. I am a vessel of purpose and abundance. I protect my peace and I pour out love and courage. Today we talked about protecting our vessel and managing our nervous systems and reflecting on the beliefs that no longer serve us. We also celebrated the brave steps you've taken in the One Brave Thing a Week challenge and explored how to navigate these challenging times with grace and intention. All right, y'all. I want to challenge you to reflect on your vessel this week. If you haven't already downloaded the Root Framework workbook, please go ahead and download the framework. We are on week 2 for open, and we're looking for open and new opportunities. We've already talked about what no longer serves us. We've already thought about what no longer serves us. And this week we are just keeping our minds open, our hearts open to what is available to us. And think about what's one brave step you can take to move forward. You can join us in the Brown Heart Facebook community to share your brave stories and connect with others on this journey. I appreciate y'all so much. I have missed you all, missed the audience. I have missed sharing about Brown Heart. I've really enjoyed being a part of the One Brave Thing a Week challenge. This first iteration of the challenge, it will happen again. But thank you all for showing up, for protecting your vessels, and for choosing courage in the face of uncertainty. Until next week, take care of yourselves and remember, you are a vessel of purpose and the world needs what you pour out. All right, so I will see y'all in our next episode where we will be at our 4th week of the One Brave Thing challenge, where I cannot wait to share out more brave things that we've done and then talk about courage to take that next leap. I will see y'all then. Bye.